today. So it's one of our last forums of 2024. Tune in for the very last one in December. But today we're being joined by Yu Chang from Washington, as he just told me. I thought he was in California, but he's in Washington. So it's very bright and early in Washington right now. Wherever you might be joining us from, welcome. So we're expecting lots of different time zones today on the call. And well done to you all for joining what I think is going to be a really exciting call. And I was looking forward to having Yu Chang join us for this forum. So very briefly, just to let you know a little bit about Yu Chang. So Yu Chang is joining us from Sage. He's a principal machine learning scientist, but he's also a graduate from Princeton. And of course, within Sage, he's doing a lot of engineering and a lot of research when it comes to neural networks and whatnot. I think he will be able to tell you in simpler words, simpler terms, what it is that he's doing at Sage. But Yu Chang, welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And hello, I think everyone is wanting to interact. Definitely, if you are just joining us, please let us know where you're joining us from. And what you're looking forward to the most. So we have our team of moderators who will also be able to help today with all things related to questions for Yu Chang as well. So welcome everyone and welcome Yu Chang. Over to you.
Yeah, so hi everyone, Yu Chang here. Thanks for the introduction. So this is my first time doing it live. I'm a bit nervous, but it's great to see all of you guys. I'll be talking a lot about, the benefits I've got recently, diving into the Gen AI. So I'm going to showcase you guys some, real use cases that can benefit for either your career or your studies in high school. I really look forward to discuss this with you guys, and I will brainstorm and also with some real life demo and maybe some code that you guys can see how I actually did this. And would love to hear what you guys think about how to improve or how to, make it even better. So yeah, so that's basically me. So yeah. So should I share my screen and start right now? Okay.
Yes, you're very welcome to share your screen now and we'll get rolling. I think there is quite a lot to go through.
Yep. So absolutely. So can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, so today my talk will be leveraging GenAI for faster and smarter project development. I think this slide is for you guys. I think there's a teens in AI. Thanks for the organizations to invite me over. But you guys want to talk about this, or you want me to go over this one? I think you guys will be better doing this.
You're welcome to skip this through, but for those of you guys who don't know us, obviously Teens in AI have been around for nearly 10 years now. We launched back in 2018, but we have been working with all forms of tech since 2014. And we have quite a big community around the world in as many as 72 countries. So you are joining us. If you're joining us for the first time, do please check us out. And definitely stay until the end of this call because we have some really great announcements to make about some of the upcoming programs we're running and a really nice discount for some of our paid programs as well. So do stay on the call to hear all about it. Yu Chang, it's back to you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so in this sections, we will learn about how AI-powered note-taking app may benefit your study or work. So I'm actually going about to make something that useful for you guys. I think the majority of the audience is high schoolers and also early career professional, as I learned from the organization. So that's why I chose this topic. And I also want to discuss how GenAI can boost your productivity and also common pitfalls that you might encounter. Then we're gonna have a just short feedback section any questions that you might have, how, like, for example, how I did this, or what advice that you might have for, the young professionals, etc. So, yeah, this is me basically. And I'm looking at different screens. So if you see me not looking at you, that means that because I'm looking at different screens, just that you guys know first. So I'm currently working at Sage AI. I'm a data science, machine learning scientist there. So let's start. So a bit who I am. So I want to talk about a little bit how I get to where I am right now. So this is my student year. So I was born and raised in Taipei, the capital of Taiwan. So I just put a few pictures of that I got from internet about Taiwan. This is where I'm from. This is the tallest building in Taiwan. It used to be the tallest building in the world in the early 2000s, I think tens. In these years, they were one of the tallest buildings in the world. Then we're also very famous for like bubble tea. If you have ever tried it, it's really, really tasty. My favorite drink. So this island nowadays probably also known for its cheap manufacturing because of the AI boom. So TSMC, they manufacture, they're based in Taiwan. They have many plants in Taiwan. They manufacture the chips that power the AI currently. And I moved to the US. I studied at Princeton as introduced. So I studied a PhD in mechanical and aerospace engineering. Then my background, I didn't do AI to begin with. So that's why I wanted to tell you guys, why even if you don't do AI right now, you still have way to get into it. So my research focus was I try to understand the fundamentals of light material interaction using both simulation and experimental methods. Then moving on, so my professional career, my first job was at ASML, is a semiconductor lithography vendor. So there I designed the optical modules and I led the research projects for lithographic mask simulation. I think I have this one. I'm gonna move this away. Yeah, so you can see the full screen. So I did a simulation there to fabricate the soda chips that power AI using both physics simulation and statistical analysis. So you kind of see like this is a background that I started to build into foundation to go into the AI. Because at ASML, at that time it was just I started that career in I think 2014 when I graduated from Princeton. That was the first natural transition for me because I studied computational physics and also experimental framework. So ASML they did a really complex machine to make the chips and then they full of physics. And so therefore that was in my first job. And there, I was lucky because one of my teammates, they were using convolution neural networks at that time. Back in, I think it was 2000, early 2016. They were using that and then they saw a bunch of breakthrough for lithographic mass simulation. And I was really fascinated about the deep learning at that time. And then I decided, okay, that is so interesting. So I want to do something completely different out of my comfort zone. So I decided to join a fashion AI startup, which happens to be, luckily that was also a startup founded by a Princeton professor. So I was able to join that startup. At that startup, I learned a great deal. I developed the image and text-based recommended systems using all kinds of stats and also the deep learning models, including GLM. It stands for Generalized Linear Mix Effects Models, and RCNs, Regional Convolutional Neural Networks, DNs, Deep Convolutional Neural Networks, and also that time was really early for BERT model. That was an early transformer model. And then currently, I'm at Sage AI. So this company is doing the enterprise resource planning software. So I work on all kinds of documents classification, including invoice or bills, etc. And I also do a bunch of graph learning application, including like you can emulate graph convolution neural networks, some basic graph analysis, etc. Then currently, I'm focusing on the GenAI applications. So my team, we started doing the large language models fine tuning, evaluation, and we had luckily last year when the agentic workflows just started uh, take off, we were involved in it very early on. So I was able to work on that project as well. Yeah, so that's where I am in professional career. Oops. Oh, I think maybe there's a slide that's got cut off. Okay. I think that's a slide got cut off or something. Is this a slide? Yeah, I think there's one slide maybe cut off. But anyway, so yeah, so by looking at my student years and professional careers, so you can see that I gradually build up the knowledge and the learning skills that paved the way for me to get into AI. So in my student years, even though I study for the live material interaction, but even earlier than that, I just reflect back on, when I was a middle schooler or even high schoolers, I basically like to um, build something that people might use. For example, I was um, building some machinery with my college friends together. And then early on, I also like to when I took classes, I basically like to write very detailed notes about what professors was talking and trying to help myself and also my peers to synthesize and also organize the notes. So I always try to build something that will benefit from others. And even in my PhD year, I wrote software that can do physics simulation or I write software that can help control the equipment in the lab. So that kind of built a foundation for me to be able to do software, even though I wasn't majoring in any of the computer science. But I get, the majority of the knowledge is through other, adjacent STEM field. Then in my career, I also, you know, I move around between the physics focused industry and more like AI. But fundamentally, if you look at it, the math behind this deep learning, it's really just partial derivative from calculus. So the fundamental is that you need to know basic physics and math well, and then you would be able to capture the AI. So yeah, so I wouldn't say that you know it would be easy for you to get into the field, but if you prepare yourself to learn the fundamental of science and math, then you are basically you're setting yourself for your career in AI, basically. Yeah, so um, I mean, you can probably find a lot of information in about AI lectures on the internet, and I don't think that you need to sit through it and then listen me to go through that. But I think the most interesting part for me is, okay, all this AI knowledge, but how would you be able to go about it and build something that can benefit for yourself or even for the society? So I always like to build something. So let's build something then. Um, you know, so that's what this today's talk. I want to be make it more interesting and more engaging for you guys. So I was thinking about, okay, you guys are maybe high schoolers or early career professional, you might need to have some portfolio to showcase that you can do something. Or you can benefit from having some app. In this case, it's the note-taking app that you can use to take notes from the class that you're participating. And if you were to build a note-taking app, traditionally for a software development process, it would be the process that you can go through. You can even find this online. So basically, you gather the requirements and you probably go through some security review, making sure that your app doesn't do any harm, or somebody might hack into your app and then trying to, uh, doing something bad for your company or, yeah, etc. And you need to decide, how you're gonna build this. You need to write some design docs and then you distribute across your colleagues or your friends, making sure everything looks good, right? And then you start to implement it and then testing it. And if you're not from industry, basically there are two kinds of testing, like unit test, integration test. And unit test is testing like each individual small pieces, whether it's actually fail or not. And the integration just put everything together and test it again. You can think of that kind of framework. And then you have, CI/CD deployment. That's basically continuous monitor. Once your app is in production, everything still looks good. Um, and today, I think I will be just focusing on, point 2 and 3. Just make sure that, GenAI can help us to see how GenAI can actually help us to do this. But I would say the rest of the points there, GenAI can still somehow help you, but I will leave you to explore. And if you're interested in whether this is correct or not, I actually put into, some I put into Perplexity. Have you guys tried that one to see if actually this is correct or not? I was asking, is it a reasonable process? I'm just asking it. And then you would give me, okay, this is general, is reasonable approach for software development. And they even give you a bunch of lists of whether this is correct or not. So they have different sources. So this is, back in the day when I was trying to figure out whether my knowledge is correct or not, I was using Google. But now I also sometimes using Perplexity, this kind of AI tool to help me to verify if things is correct or not. And it's kind of convenient because they also provide you with a source. So you can kind of, try to figure out if this is a reasonable approach or not. Yeah, so let me go back to my slide. I see a bunch of questions pops up, but do I need to answer it right now, or maybe I can answer it later? Um, yeah, okay. Yeah, so this is if you were trying to build the note-taking app, right? So remember the step that I was showing you guys for the traditional software development process. You need to basically design it. So I just asked GenAI, can you please generate a system diagram for me? And then you start to generate, okay, so you try to build an app with the Streamlit app and Whisper CPP. So I will tell you guys how later on how I decided to choose this framework. But user basically, they can click start recording, and then the app would try to record the audio with some software. So it's called this one is sound device, and then you would save the audio as sound format WAV, and then you would run because you need to have a voice to text. So there's a software or model is Whisper CPP for the voice to text transcription. And you can also further extract and concatenate the transcribed text. And then you can further do a content analysis, figuring out what this guy is talking about. And you can do a word count, a topic modeling, etc. And you can display, you can visualize the topic and also the contents. And then, yeah, so this is basically a design diagram. I did not do this. GenAI does it for me. So it looks magical. But you will see in a second, like you need to actually provide a really good prompt so that you understand what it should do. Yeah, and so now you have a design diagram. Now I asked it, okay, can you please write an Streamlit app that can record live audio with a start button and use Wizard CPP for generating the text as an input? Yeah, then it says, sure, this is ChatGPT. Below is a Streamlit application that uses the Streamlit interface for recording live audio. And it processes the recording audio with Wizard CCP to generate the transcript text. Before running the app, ensuring that you have Whisper CPP compile and its binary is available. So it tells you about all the detail. It also shows you the app, the code here. So I don't want to go to the detail of the code, but it basically does exactly what the previous slide, the system diagram was designing. It basically try to call the Whisper CPP model, and it has some sampling rate, and it requires use some library, some devices to record the voice as WAV file, and then you call the Whisper model to transcribe the voice to text, and that's it. That's what it does. And this code is generated by GenAI as well. But does it really work? So that's the question, right? So that's why I want to show you guys. Let's give it a try and just see. I just literally copy the code over to my local I have a VS Code open here. So that's basically the code that generated by GenAI. So I just want to test it. Right. So I basically just I launch it here. So it's a note-taking assistant. Press the start button to record audio and then transcribe with Whisper CPP, right? Now I even try a little bit different. I will see if I can do different language, but now we just focus on English for now. So let's just try it. So this is a good talk by Andrew Kapathi. I think if you guys heard about his name, he's really, really good at educating the deep learning material. You can follow him. He gave a really good talk about, not just like large language model in general. I think he's really good at deep learning. And yeah, so this is one of his lecture about intro to large language models. And I'm just gonna record this and see how this note taking actually performs. So let's record for maybe like 20 seconds or so. So I'm gonna click start recording.
Model. We'll go into that in a bit. Because this is a 70 billion parameter model, every one of those parameters is stored as 2 bytes. And so therefore, the parameters file here is 140 gigabytes. And it's 2 bytes because this is a float 16 number as the data type. Now, in addition to these parameters, that's just like a large list of parameters for that neural network. You also need something that runs.
Okay, see, this is the output. So he said that we are going to that in a bit because it's a 70 billion parameter model. Every one of those parameters is stored as 2 bytes. And therefore, the parameter file here is 140 gigabytes. And that's 2 bytes because it's a float 16 number as a data type. Wow, it's actually doing not quite bad. So it's actually doing quite well. I'm surprised. Sometimes I would see, the recording was not really correct. So yeah, so you can literally just use this app and you can record. Like this is like if somebody's lecturing, you can just record it. And then I just do a simple, like word counts. So this is a word count of the text that is just being transcribed, like 16, 70, 140 billion, etc. And then it's just some visualization of, the top 10 words in transcription. So bytes appear twice, parameters appear twice, and the rest of the words just appear once. And then you can do a topic modeling. Like this is a very short, video transcription. So, there's really not much things that they can get, but this is the idea. Like the first topic would be parameters bytes, type gigabyte 70, etc. So again, you see that this visualization would be like simple NLP type of analysis, and then this thing is all done. The code is all done by the ChatGPT. I did not even write a single line of code there. So it's actually working, decently. So I'm gonna going back to my slide here. Okay, so where am I? Let's see where that's tested. Yeah. Then the natural question that you would get from working in the software is that, okay, great. So now you demonstrate that you can build something. The next question would be people going to ask you, oh, what else can you improve upon, right? So what are the key elements in note-taking app? So I already have some idea, but I just want to hear from the language model. So I just asked what key elements of note-taking using Streamlit and Whisper CPP. It basically tell me that, okay, you have a start button. We already have that. And the visual feedback, like status indicator to show recording in progress. Okay, I didn't have that. Okay, that's probably a good idea. Okay, convert recorded audio to text using the Whisper model. Okay, we already have that. Okay, support for multilingual transcription. Oh, I like this one. So we also enable this one, and note creation editing. So it's able to create and save the audio transcription as a note, rich text editing options like title, bullet points, bold, italics. Okay, and also you have a note title and text. I actually like this one because you might have multiple notes, right, from different classes. You might also want to text, with different levels of difficulty or different subjects, etc. That's actually a good idea. No organization and management, list of saved notes, display saved notes in the list view or search bar. Okay, this is also a good feature because once you have many notes, you still need to find it, right? So it's better to have a search bar, and sorting, filtering, etc. And also you'd be able to delete and export notes. You might be able to share with your friends or your peers. So it's and then also you probably don't want to have so many nodes. So if you don't think that it's relevant, you can probably delete them. So this is also a good idea as well. And then this also suggests on UI components, you can have sidebar for navigation, button for recording, saving, and deleting, and then theming option like light dark mode toggle. I like this as well. I don't even think about that one currently. And then data storage, whether you want to store in a JSON or text file, yeah, so etc. So you see that GenAI actually provides some good ideas for you to explore. That can actually be beneficial if you want to think about next steps, right? Yeah, so far so good. But that's actually, I think I have one more thing I can share with you guys, which is, now you are able to take a notes with just simple Whisper CPP. Can you turn that into a voice assistant? So what does that mean? So currently we have voice to text, right? And if you can have text to answer, the second step, and the third step, answer to voice, then you basically have a voice assistant, right? So you've probably seen like a month, maybe just a couple of weeks ago, OpenAI, they demonstrate that you can do the voice assistant with ChatGPT, right? And so we can basically replicate something similar to it. And we already have a solution for one. And for two, text to answer, I think that's kind of straightforward. We can just use LLM to do that, right? LLM is text in, text out if it's not multimodal. So you can use LLM to do the second. And you just need another model to do 3 answers to voice, right? So you can use another model. So in this one, I just pick NVIDIA's NeMo, this model. And for 2, text to answer, using LM, so I just use some LM that you actually can run locally. So I picked this one, Olama Q1 0.5B. This is a really small model. Trust me, you can even run it. Like, this model is so small. You can even run it in your local Mac. So I'm gonna show you guys right now. Right now, I'm running this in my Mac. I have only 16 gigabytes of RAM, and this is also not a GPU. It's just it's an old, like almost 4 years old Intel CPU. So I can actually run this one. This model is only close to 400 megabytes. So I'm just about to change my code a little bit. So you see, I prepared this one. So this is the original code. Then I'm just gonna comment this one. So this would allows you to call Olama model. And you just basically given this question, please answer in less than 15 words. And then once I have the answer, then I will call the NVIDIA's text to voice model, trying to read it back to me. So I'm just save this one. So I'm about to turn this to a voice assistant as opposed to just note-taking assistant, right? So I can ask any question. So any of you want to suggest me of a question to ask, or I'm just gonna ask something that I want to know? I'll look at the chat to see if anybody got an idea. Okay. So how can GenAI help in modeling and simulation? I like this one. Should we use this one to, I think somebody just asked, how can GenAI help in modeling and simulation? Should we ask this question? I have one. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna ask this one, okay? Let's see. I never seen this, so I'm just giving a little bit longer recording. And bear with me, it's my Taiwanese accent. See if actually we get this right. I'm excited too. Okay, ready? Let's go. How can GenAI help in modeling and simulations? Let's see how it works. Oh, actually, how can you help? Okay. GenAI provides tools for building and simulating complex systems. For example, GenAI offers algorithms for simulating chemical reaction, as well as tools for building and simulating electronic circuits. Overall, the ability to use GenAI effectively is crucial in modeling and simulation. Okay, it's very generic, okay, because this model is not trained for a specific topic. So it's given a very generic answer. And now this is the answer given by the Olama, the Q1 2.5 and 0.5B model. So you already generate a text for you. It sees very fast. Now we're trying to get the text to voice using the NVIDIA NeMo. And this model, I think, is quite big. So that's why it takes a while to, to transcribe from text back to the voice again. So you can hear it now.
GenAI provides tools for building and simulating complex systems. For example, GenAI offers algorithms for simulating chemical reactions as well as tools for building and simulating electronic circuits. Overall, the ability to use GenAI effectively is crucial in modeling and simulations.
Yeah, so obviously it's supposed to be GenAI, but it didn't capture my Taiwanese accent. So if somebody like native English speaker, maybe when you try to read this question to it, you would probably better catch it. But you got an idea. So literally, we just built a voice assistant with GenAI's help. We can get this done really quickly. So you have now not only the note-taking assistant, but also a voice a system for you, and then you actually can run it locally in your Mac. So that means that your data is only stored and transmitted locally. So that means that you don't have any security issue per se, I would say. But maybe somebody might have other way to hack it. I don't know. But yeah, so let me go back to my slide, see if, where am I right now? Oh yeah, so you know, so far, so what I've showed you, it looks like it's fantastic, right? But it's not really that great. So there's real obstacles. I want to share with you guys, my let me see if I can find. So I'm gonna bring up my ChatGPT. So just bear with me. I want to show you guys quick about the chat that I used to generate this, and then I'll show you some common pitfalls. Okay, so see if I can quickly find it. Okay. Okay, I found it. Okay, perfect. I want to share with you guys because I think this is important when you try this out. When I started Journey, I'm literally just learning this because I think it's useful for you guys. So I don't really have a much background doing the Whisper CPP, so I'm just really literally starting from, okay, what is this and how should I use it? So I ask how to run this in a Conda environment. So it's basically telling me about how you should do this, and it's suggesting a bunch of dependencies, right? And now when I try to run it, I run into the issue of, my Mac doesn't have C++ installed, so I actually need to install it. So I'm asking how should I do it, and then it tells me you can do it with different machines, depending on which machine you are on. So because I have a Mac, so I choose this one. Then I run into even more issues, like this cache not found. So that kind of stuff. So then I've realized that, okay, I also need to install C++ compiler. So that's why I install a bunch of these other things. And then finally, I asked, can you write a Streamlit app that can record live audio with the stop button and use Whisper CPP for generating the text as an output. So that's why it's giving me this is the code that it gave it to me. Then I run into another issue where, when I try to record it, basically the script that it provides to me doesn't. I was initially running on not my laptop, running on remote server, and remote server doesn't have the access to microphone. So I had an issue with, okay, how can I record if I don't even have a microphone on a remote server? So I asked it how to resolve it. And then it basically tells me you have a few options. There are different packages that you can do that. In the end, I end up using this sound device. Then I know that it can run locally. So that's why I end up using my, just my my laptop to do a demo. So you can see that you actually run into a bunch of these issues. It's not like it's like you're assistant, but you still need to know some enough knowledge so that you can actually run this. So that's why it's just kind of pave the way that I want to talk to you guys about the common pitfall that you might have an impression of using this GenAI tool. The first one is the number one I usually encounter is that the demo looks cool, but did you actually check the accuracy of this resource? So the one we just saw, when I asked a question about how can you run modeling simulation using GenAI tool, right? So that's one is very obvious. Like it basically didn't capture the word Gen AI. And the Gen AI model sometimes is not able to execute. So if the given tasks are complicated. And what's even worse is that, sometimes the generated code might have some security, issues. So you might not be able to just take the code as is and then just plug in and just run it. So you need to actually read first what it's doing and making sure that you understand what it's doing before you actually start executing it. And people might also think, oh, you don't need to learn coding because it can write a code for you. But my honest answer for this is no, you actually still need to learn or at least acquire experience so that you can even write relevant prompts to Gen AI tools. For example, if I don't tell it write a Streamlit app or using Whisper CPP, it might suggest something not really working for you. And all this AI tool, not just Gen AI specific, is basically trained on some data, and then this data could be biased. And to be honest, you can generate inappropriate or biased outputs because the model itself is trained on biased. It can be trained on biased data sets. So making sure that review it and acknowledge that this will be the drawbacks of these models before you release this out to the world. Yeah, so, and I just want to, end this before we dive into a discussion, some resources to learn Gen AI. So, like I said, I think the mechanics of how Gen AI, at least large language model, you can find tons of classes online. But the application of how this thing can be used, I just point out, some of the useful things that I found. For example, Google Cloud, I just recently came across this one. It shows you 185 real world use cases from leading organization. So you can take a look. I think this is a whole lot. They even, they grew by different sectors or verticals. I think this is really interesting. They even have different companies that actually showcase you how they use this to build different applications. And they have a really good classes about Gen AI as well. And the Udacity, they even have a Gen AI degree program. So you can go through that detail. Then I also wrote some Medium posts about different learning journey that I have with the Gen AI. So I put a link there so you can take a look at. Yeah, I think, oh yeah, so I think this got moved. Sorry, I think I was supposed to talk about this, but anyway, this is my last slide. Okay. Think I would accept any more questions from the audience, just in case that I go something too fast, or you guys, if you guys still with me.
Yeah, amazing. Yes, no dropouts, Yu Chang. So this is really great news. This is fantastic. So I can see a lot of questions, but before we start taking questions, just a very big thank you from all of us at Teens AI community for joining us today. And of course, this is brought by Sage and Sage Foundation. We would not be doing this without the support from Sage. So we're very, very grateful for the support and for bringing you to this action forum. So that was really amazing. I feel like your tutorial and your demo would be so useful for all those teenagers who I know will be participating in our upcoming Global Techathon in March. So we're definitely going to be resharing this closer to March because I feel like everyone needs to know how to use Gen AI for their projects. So this was really amazing. What are you most excited about when it comes to Gen AI, Yu Chang?
Oh, for me, I mean, honestly, I have my first reaction to Gen AI. I will be really honest here. Is last year, I mean, almost 2 years ago, when the OpenAI released the models, I started using it. I was really shocked about how good it is. And at the same time, at that time, I was really worried about my job security because, in the past, we trained a model and then we deployed it. And now you have this foundation models, this Gen AI model, pre-trained transformers. They're so good at doing, a lot of NLP tasks, like image classification. Now they're doing the multimodal things, right? But over time, when I tried to work on it, I was like, oh, okay, it would still produce, the wrong or hallucinate answers. So, and if you start to change a little bit about your prompt, it would not get the answer right. It's as if you think that it can reason, but if you change a little bit about, the wording by asking the question different way, it just completely give you a different answer. And I was like, okay, he probably doesn't really know how to reason this through. He probably just capture the pattern that in front of his training data, and then they probably seen the question that you have asked, and they just generate an answer that looks reasonable. So I realized, okay, you still need to have a lot of human in the loop, trying to verify it. So our job sometimes just, sometimes it will be really challenging because you need to read through a bunch of these outputs because they can generate output really fast. But how do you quantify this output? Sometimes it's very challenging. Like I said, it's very cool to build just a demo because GenAI can generate the output really fast. But the question really is that does that really bring I would say like benefits for the something that you want to build and you want to serve this product to other people, right? So that's something that you have to really be careful about. If you see a bunch of hype about this Gen AI, but in reality, when you're trying to test it, you will see a bunch of issues there. So that's why you need to be extra careful when you're trying to release this out. So.
And don't be worried, right? You're not going to be losing your job just yet.
No, I think I agree with a lot from I think the NVIDIA CEO Jensen. He says that if you know how to use this tool, you're not probably not going to be replaced by AI. But really, is that if you don't start using it, and then, I mean, my philosophy is I'm supposed to afraid of the new things, but just try to learn how to work with it. Like even the academia I've received from the Princeton Alumni magazine, they talk about, hey, in academic setting, we don't. Some professors say that they don't want students to use GenAI to write essays because they want to hear what students want to talk about. They can even easily, tell whether this article is written by GenAI or not. And but I think to a certain degree, you still need to have a GenAI to help you, maybe just revise a little bit about your articles. So I would see there's got to be a balance between how you use this tool, and then you also need to inject a little bit of your own creativity into it, so that you can make an efficient way to get your work and share with other people, right? So that's
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So I think we're now ready for questions. I'm going to ask my colleagues, my colleague Clara, to perhaps pick a few questions, unless you, Cheng, you can see those questions and perhaps pick something that you're able to respond to. I can see one of the first questions. I'd like to know, how do I get into AI and machine learning? Like, which course should I take? So Mary has asked that very first question.
Yeah, so so it depends on your background. So if you already know the math, or if you already know you have enough background in this. So I think this one, like for introductory, I would say this is a Gen AI example, like Google Cloud. So they basically walk you through different kinds of Gen AI application. I think this is a very high level. But if you want to go get a really good coding experience, I think Udacity, they have GenAI training program. I think a bunch of other classes as well. Then you can take those classes. I think these you have to pay, but the other classes that you don't have, like I said, you can also go to YouTube. Just search for, like the one I just showed you guys, the Andrew Karpathy's class. He has really a good collection of, different, large language models in general. So he can filter. He has, in-depth of different variety of topics that you can choose from. So I mean, this basically how I learned it. So I think I missed this slide, but I think this because I can use this for this question. My training is, physics simulation, experimental control. And then I transitioned into AI. I studied at Udacity in 2015, almost 10 years ago. And that was 4 years after AlexNet was released. That was a very big boom of the deep learning. So I started from the online classes. And then there's a bunch of free courses on Udacity there. And there's also a paid one. So that's where you can start. And then just, like I said, build something. Just try to think about how you can help your friends, neighbors, parents' business, or whatever, and just build something. And then you would get your hand dirty, and you would get a good grasp of the AIs and how they can help you. So
get going, right? Yes, build something. That's really great advice. And we have somebody asking you, what made you want to do your job? How long have you been doing it? And what motivates you to keep going?
oh, my job. I always want to do something I enjoy. So, when solving the machine learning problems, I feel like you have really I wouldn't say like a million ways, but you actually have 10 different ways to solve the same problem, and they have different models to try out. And this field is evolving very fast, so you are never bored because you always have something new to learn. But sometimes you need to balance out because sometimes you would feel a little bit stressful. You need to learn a bunch of new things. Like just when we're talking, probably another 10 different language models probably released right now. I'm just joking, but they release pretty quite often. But fundamentally, they are built on transformer architecture, and they just gradually improve it. So it just get a good understanding of the fundamentals, and you just keep learning it. So then you will never get bored for a job. So I think this is really good about, in this field, you never get bored because there's just so many new things people discover and you can try on. And there's a lot of open source. So you don't limit it by, what your jobs, maybe you have some daily tasks to do, but you always have time to explore new things. So that's why I like it in this field.
Amazing. I have another question here. What are the first steps I should take to train my own AI model?
Your first take, so it depends on what AI model you are training. So if it's, simple classifiers, then you can just, you go to Kaggle. It's a very famous, website. Just in case people don't know, it's Kaggle. There's a bunch of data there. Then you can just, get both the code and also, your source data. Then you can train your own model. But if you want to train your, first large language model, I would say that you require some GPU, and that needs a lot of money. Even if you're trying to use the cloud provider's GPU, you can rent it, but it's still a significant amount of cost that you probably will have. But some models, like the small models, like small LLM, I think right now it's a trendy because they want to deploy that into your device, like your mobile phones. So you can probably train that in your local machines with like Ollama. You can take a look at Ollama. There's a bunch of good models there. I'm not sure whether you can train from Ollama, but I believe that there's got to be some library that allows you to train locally even in your CPU. Maybe they've written in C++, then you can train it. So I'm sure that you can do that. Oh yeah, I now remember Andrew Karpathy has a website. I think that he called it NanoGPT. This one. So you can go to this NanoGPT and you can train your own transformers. I'm sure that some of the models are small, like the early GPT-2. You can train it in your local laptop. You don't have to use GPU to do that. So
it's amazing. That
yeah.
is pretty amazing. We are definitely going to be sharing all of these links. And Yu Chang, if you have any more links to share, send them to us by email, and we're going to share this with all of our community members. So please do share. And I know we're running out of time soon, but I wanted to ask you to leave us with some tips for all of the young teenagers who are joining us almost every day to learn something new, what would be your best advice? Imagine you're offering this to your own kids who are, a little bit too young at the moment to hear your advice, but everyone who's in their sort of 12, 13, 14, just dipping their toes into AI or Gen AI. What is top advice from you?
Yeah, so my top advice is that, so I mean, first of all, if you are in this seminar, you already set the first right step. So because you participate in this AI oriented seminar. And secondly, I would say the information is at your fingertip. So you are living in a very different world when I grew up. So, I started having like maybe YouTube when I was in, I would say, middle high schools. That I can learn whatever I can find on YouTube, right? So now it's totally different. You have everything on your fingertip, the information. The question is, can you figure out what application or use case that you can use to help your community or yourself, your business partners? You might be starting from there because you're still in school years. If you have a really good grasp of it, and then just figuring out how to use GenAI in those fields, that would be really, really useful. And schools, I would say schools now is a place to learn how to learn. The knowledge that you acquire at school is pretty much outdated once you get out of school because things is moving so fast. But you are there to learn the skills to learn. So you can see from my background, my PhD has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. But I learned the skills to learn. And I take that. I learn every single day, even at my work, because all of my knowledge like a few years ago is outdated. So I have to, keep learning. So that will be the best advice for you guys, like, figuring out what you need to do to help your community and then acquire the skills to learn. Learning how to learn. So that's basically two things that I will give you guys the advice. Once you have these two things, then you can embark on anything that you want in your life, basically.
That's fantastic advice. Amazing. Thank you so much, Yu Chang, for joining us today. Before you guys leave this call, as I promised, I wanted to share with you a very brief code. So Yu Chang, do you want to take me back to our slides? Otherwise, I will, take me back to the slides. And I believe this is the very last slide that you can just display for me. Next and next. Yeah, the very last one. So guys, just because you've joined us today, we're very grateful for all of your attention and for not dropping off this call, which is really fantastic. So you can enjoy this 20% code on all the paid courses that we have on teensanai.com. So you can just go immediately on learn.teensanai.com, put that code in Teens in AI, Teens in Action in November. So this is just available for the month of November and only for those who have attended this call. Otherwise, we also have some free courses that you can take. And of course, this action forum is recorded and will be available on our platform. In March, we will have our global tech-a-thon. And Yu Chang, now that I know how useful this will be for everyone, we're just definitely going to share this with all participants so that you learn how to build things super fast, because there will be quite a number of cool challenges for you to tackle. So you can either join as a local ambassador or as a participant if you're still young and exploring this field. And definitely register for the next action forum. This will be the very last action forum happening in December. The date is already set, 16th of December. We're going to be ending 2024 with another talk on AI ethics, on diversity when it comes to building AI systems and models. So please do join us for that. So if this is the topic you're passionate about, like myself, please do join us. So on this note, once again, Yu Chang, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Sage and Sage Foundation, for sponsoring this opportunity and for bringing Yu Chang to us all the way from Washington and USA. So it was amazing to have you with us, and we hope to stay in touch. And if you have any more links and whatnot to share, we're going to share this with our community. So thank you, everyone, and have an amazing rest of your day or night or evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Yu Chang.